Jada, but Will was
Excuse
okay
me.
with it. So he didn't have to put that out. That was his use. My
Right.
also thought on that is that, do you think that Will and Jada didn't know about that before he came out with it? Because Homeboy is still moving on. He's got his bid, he's working his records and stuff. There was no lawsuit out against him. So they
Right.
all knew about it.
Yeah, no defamation,
People with
no.
money like that, they play that game. And they have, and it's okay if they want to.
Right.
Because this is what I know. None of them has paid my bills.
This is true.
They ain't send me no check.
This is
They
true.
ain't called. They ain't called and said, "Hey, by the way, we paid off your student loans." They
Right.
ain't done that.
I would love that help.
They ain't done that. So my thought is, people seem to want to make Jada, because it's easier to make Jada the bad person than
Of
it is
course.
to say Will or Chris.
Right.
It's easier to say it's her.
Yeah. Much easier. Yeah.
And all she is, she's just, and secondly, in my thought of it, she was the third party in this. She was the person sitting there whose feelings got hurt. And I do believe that her feelings got hurt with
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Because, and she was a third party in that.
Right.
Will decided that that was the moment he wanted to step up, or whatever it was, like I said, whatever the backstory is between them, that was his moment that he decided that he was tired. Enough was enough.
Right.
And then again, who knows? Maybe they planned the whole thing too.
That is also something that could have definitely happened, because
Mhm.
that's what they do,
And
honestly.
then it backfired.
Right.
But did it
I
backfire?
honestly thought it was a joke, because you think about it, you
I
think of Will
initially did
Smith,
too.
right? And
Mhm.
Will Smith is this notorious rapper who did not curse in any of his songs. So it's like, how do you go
Exactly.
from that person to this I'm sure he has hit $1 billion, and he probably has,
Yeah.
whatever, but this multi-billion-dollar, actor, to going to slap somebody on, that just seems like so beneath a person. I mean, it's
Exactly.
level of his stature.
So when you said, I don't know if I would say, Joanne, I don't know if I would say that it backfired. Maybe it didn't backfire. Maybe this is what they needed, maybe this is what they wanted. So who's to say that tomorrow, one of them doesn't come out with, next week, this big Slap Me record or Slap Me movie.
Hey, you never know. That's
You never
actually
know.
In a couple of years, yes, but I think the initial fallout of people coming at Will for being an angry Black man, I think that's the backfire part. Amy Schumer's all like, I felt so threatened. I was so
Yeah,
scared.
that's true.
Excuse me? And taking away, because Will Smith is one of the few, I would argue and say that before him, it was like the Bill Cosbys, et cetera, they were safe Black men, right? Where they had that universal appeal. They weren't dangerous. They were the ones that, oh, my family would feel okay if I brought him home. And then in a full swoop, everybody was like, oh, Will Smith, I'm so disappointed in him. How can he do such a thing? He was so violent. To do that at the Oscars? Oh. And I was like, are people serious? Y'all are acting like he slapped all of you. Like, everybody was great. Do you remember how everybody was behaving? They were like, oh, I can't believe he did that.
It was so crazy.
And
how
practice
people
violence.
reacted.
It was like, I was like, are you guys all serious? They were like, he practiced violence upon one of our own. I'm like, oh, all of you love Chris Rock so much now?
Yeah, since when?
It was too much for me.
Right.
And then Netflix was like, we are cutting him. His 2 movies are gone. And this thing was like, we're cutting him. And that thing was like, and then the Oscars are like, he shan't appear in the Oscars for the next decade. I was like,
But the thing of it is I don't think that impacts Will as much as people would think or want to. Will he still has his Oscar. So Netflix has lost money, but Netflix is losing money anyway.
Netflix is hemorrhaging at the moment.
So they were having their own problem. So I think this probably even hurt Netflix more than it helped them. When they talked about Bad Boys, 5 coming out, 4 or 5, whichever one it is. The director immediately and the executive producer immediately came out and said, we don't know where you got that from that we were canceling, because we're not.
Right. That is a violent movie anyway.
It gives some street cred.
Yeah,
right, exactly. That's like him getting shot.
Yeah. We were like, so my thought on it was, And actually, I'll be honest, when I saw it, I was like, oh, well, kick up some ass. It's all right. I ain't mad at you.
Right.
I was so
I
I don't know what that says
disagree.
about me and the violence, but I was okay with it. I was
Me
like, stand
too.
up. For,
No
my
offense.
thing was like, stand up for
I
yours.
actually thought it made them a little interesting that year, this
Yeah.
year.
Exactly.
once.
Agreed. And also, let's be fair. We can't all stand here and not say that there are some things that Chris Rock and other personalities and comedians have said that are sometimes egregious. Where sometimes you're like, you know what, you need one slap. You know, like let's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
you know, because sometimes Chris
true.
Rock doesn't do all the amazing George Carlin-esque humor that's very cerebral. Sometimes he just likes to go up there and make fun of people.
He
And I'm like,
does.
sometimes you deserve a slap.
Mhm.
That's very true. Yes, I agree.
He's not doing highbrow Greg Giraldo type humor all the time. He's doing, hey, you ugly, yo mama, And I'm like, you know what happens sometimes to you when you do those jokes? Yeah,
You
get
get
slapped.
slapped. Yeah. And you know, I thought what I thought was funny though was and kind of sad in a way is that how we have to put people have to put blame or point a finger at someone. So it was like once the guy attacked David Chappelle, oh, because of because of Will Smith, now people feel like they can just come up and attack. Well, whatever his issue was, and it comes out that he's got some mental issue, whatever's going on. Whatever his issue was had nothing to do with Will Smith. It does not
Right.
mean that people are going to now run around and start attacking comedians.
Right.
Like, so you can't
That
say that.
doesn't make
Doesn't
any
mean
sense. You can't.
it
That doesn't
doesn't.
even add up.
Yes, so it's no different than if somebody runs out and and robs somebody. Oh, because some actor robbed somebody, then that means that's why all the other people are robbing. No, it's
Right.
not. They were robbing before. People were getting slapped before. It just happened that this one was on national TV. That's all it was.
Right. You're completely right.
Hmm.
Now, for me though, admittedly, what I would say, I was a little bit miffed Jada for initially separating herself from it. I agree that she's like, yo, I am a grown woman, Will is a grown person. He decided to do what he decided to do in that moment. But I was like, Jada, you ain't gonna say that you what? Like it was interesting to me that she was like, oh, I condemn his actions and la la la. I was like, oh. So that's when I kind of felt a little backfire-y. So that's all.
Okay, ladies, I'm gonna try to join from my computers because I'm tired of holding the phone.
Live from two sources.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of feedback or something. I don't know where that's coming from.
Oh,
Oh, now there's no feedback.
there's no feedback.
I think it was just the phone. Because when you use the StreamYard, it does say that it doesn't work well with phones for some strange reason. So it is what it is. You know, it just very temperamental little shits they are.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Such is life.
It's like,
But
dude, we use our phones for everything.
Mm.
But back what you were saying when Chris Rock does certain things and you're like, you know what, you probably just need a slap for that. What comes to mind actually is the movie that he did, that last horror movie that he did. What was the name of it?
I can't remember, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be like, so, this was supposed to be it. This was supposed to be the Halloween of all Halloween type of movies. This was supposed to have you shaking in your pants. And it was like the most cliche movie I have ever seen. I could not get through the first 10 minutes of it. It was like, so the guy goes, so Chris Rock is the cop. Something happens to his partner and he goes, you know what? After I don't work with anybody anymore. I do this alone. And I was like,
I lost someone. It's too painful.
Single movie before him.
No, he deserved a slap for that. It took a long time coming.
Yeah.
But Will collectively gave him the slap that we were like,
Yeah. He was begging for that slap. He was begging for it.
All right, back.
he's been hoarding it for years.
I was trying to remember which scary movie was that.
Oh my gosh.
Chris Rock
Okay.
did.
I'm gonna actually look for it.
Yeah,
Let me
I don't
see.
remember him.
I blocked it out of my mind forcibly.
It was that bad.
Child. It was
It
just,
just wasn't
it's
that
one of those
memorable.
things where I am honestly, as a person who hasn't gotten the opportunities that somebody who is immensely talented.
Spiral.
Huh?
The name of the movie is Spiral.
Oh God.
Horrible. It was like all of these crazy scenes that were smushed into this garbage movie. It was really a pathetic waste of money. It's one of those movies that if it had come back out in the 80s, it would have gone straight to VHS.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
not good.
It had some really good parts, but it was so overall horrible.
It had
that
good
was just like,
parts?
why?
Oh, was
There
he
were
supposed
good
to be
parts.
this? Oh,
Child, I don't remember the good parts.
she said she doesn't remember.
I think you're more forgiving than I am. I'm like, what is this? Admittedly, I get upset that, for example, obviously when Chris Rock was starting out, it was immensely difficult for him to start out. And what he's accomplished is incredible. And there's nobody on earth that should ever take away his amazing accolades and his accomplishments.
Right.
What I resent, though, is that once people are established and they start to sell out $1 million venues, then people let them do any and everything, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like,
okay.
you're an incredible speaker and comedian. What make you think you can be in a horror film as a straight actor? What make you think you can, just because these are things that are on your bucket list and you dreamt of doing, doesn't mean you should be able to get the green light on that. How about
But
you
even
go
so,
back-
like, if you know that you don't reach the magnitude of, say, a Samuel L. Jackson, or
yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Exactly. You're
You
not
can't
Blair
reach
Underwood.
that level of acting,
You're not
right?
Blair.
Shouldn't you just at least read the part and say, you know what, this doesn't necessarily sound right? And you know when you have enough money in the bank, you can question these things.
Right? It's ego. Whether he created it himself or, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong. I don't know, especially with comedians and actors who want to become directors, et cetera, et cetera. When you get to that level in your career where people can't say no to you, that's when you need to say no to yourself and be like, wait. Do I want to be the director of this because of ego? Or am I actually called to being a director? Do I want to be in this amazing action film because I have the capacity to be a Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or is because my
let's not do that. Let's
self.
not do Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I love him.
And him. I will.
I love him even when he had hair.
I am not
Before
going.
you start,
You know, he's got 5 additional brothers
hair
and
and a
sisters,
fatty pack. I
apparently.
don't care. I love him. I love him. Bad. See?
So I get this little thing that pops up on my phone that's called breaking news feeds or whatever. So things popped up on him on the other day. Apparently they did DNA tests and he now has 5 additional brothers and sisters.
Who?
His dad had 5 kids that he was unaware of. The Rock. I was like, oh well, working to a lot of people's world. You know?
Are any of them black?
Oh no, yeah, his father was black.
I didn't even
Noticeably, like, I
read the
can't
rest.
keep my hair down to the 0-inch cut, black and male.
There are some that were male.
I said it. I said what I said. I said what I said.
Did she say?
She going looking. She like, where they at? Where they at?
What you say? You gonna go find one of his brothers or sisters? One of his brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh, you've done your hair different.
Who is not hiding behind the haircut to say, I'm blackish. No, I'm not black. I'm Hawaiian. Okay.
Samoan, how dare you?
Okay.
Yeah.
But yet, if Ebony is paying, if Essence is paying, I'm going to get on their magazine. But then in my real life, I'm going to be like, I'm not black. I'm Hawaiian. Get the fuck out of here. Give me a break. You're black at your convenience. Give me a break.
Child, that ain't nothing new.
I would not support you if you were outside and you were like, bitch, you ain't even got to go in your wallet. You can Venmo me. Fuck you and your mama. No, no, and no. Nope.
Did she say Venmo me?
Sure did.
And did.
Oh, yes.
And did.
Nope.
So
I
that
would
is
send
simple
the
plug
Venmo,
for
but I'm
Venmo.
Canadian, so I can't get them.
No.
And we need to contact them with Venmo and see if they can go ahead and pay for this little presentation we have for today. Sponsored by Venmo.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yes,
Listen.
I know. You're right.
Sponsorships
I was
welcome.
doing- So this live stream is like going in and out. First it tells me for Instagram, first it tells me it's there, then it tells me it's not there. So I'm going to have to work on this during the week. And I do have some free time, so I'm going to play around with it some more.
Okay, excellent.
And you have, so did you have relatives coming over, people coming over to your house this evening?
So we're having, because the 4th of July falls on a Monday. We're not really celebrating the 4th of July. It's more like a game night type thing that we've been kind of planning. And we figured since everybody's kind of off, that it would be a good idea to have it now. Because as a Black person, the 4th is not really for us, in all honesty.
Right? Let's create a country where the system is created to work against the majority of people. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. For me,
so
we
once you get
celebrated
the realization of, your history, you get an understanding of it. But the thing is, these are the days that we get off.
Hello, take the holiday.
Yeah, so
I ain't gonna celebrate
the holiday. We're not
I ain't
celebrating
celebrating
the
a little
holiday.
raggedy day, but I want the day off.
Right.
So for us, it was the celebration was Juneteenth last week, which is our day.
Right.
And especially for the fact that I'm in Texas, it really was our day.
Right.
It took them so long to let us even know. You do know that y'all are free now, don't you? Y'all been working for free. Y'all just been working for nothing this time.
Yikes.
You know what it's a mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going away anytime soon. It's not.
I think I can't say I was upset, but I was a little unnerved when I was listening. So I'm not going to say the company I work for, but the company I work for, I'm not going to say the name. It does celebrate it as a holiday, Juneteenth, and they gave it off as a holiday because it's a national holiday here in the States now. Right. But and it's up to the company to decide if they want to allow you to use that. It's a federal holiday, but it's up to the company to decide if they want to give you the day off. So the company gave us the day off. So it was someone that was she's Caucasian, and she was playing this big Juneteenth celebration. And my question was, why? Why
is she gonna wear a dashiki too?
She said, it's such a great day. We've got this holiday and I'm going to celebrate. It's another day of freedom. And I'm like,
for who? You already free, dummy.
And I was good. I didn't ask because part of me wanted to ask, is your husband Black? Is somebody else in your family Black? And is somebody Black and you're from Texas? I mean, exactly how did this, And I was like I said, I wasn't mad or anything. I just was kind of curious as to, that's what it was. It's curiosity as to why you decided that was a great thing, to have a celebration for Juneteenth celebration. I mean, and did you honestly understand what the day is and what it means? I watched the one show that was on TV, and they were talking about Juneteenth, but all they talked about was music.
Right.
And the different music. And I was like, okay, but you're not discussing anything that has to do with slavery. Hi, Miss Amanda.
Hi.
How are you, darling?
I'm tired, but that's okay.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Mm-hmm. So, but But yeah, I
But
just wonder.
it's literally it's all of, they're gonna make it into like every other holiday. We will never get the ability to actually hold on to it and really get the lessons out of it.
Mhm.
I think they're still going to turn it into a Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Mary McLeod Bethune type of day where they talk about a certain amount of people, a certain particular subject matter, and then they sweep it under the rug. And
Yeah.
then what they'll do is they'll take that and they'll try to make a profit margin out of that, you know, that small time that they decide to give us.
Yeah.
They're going to turn it into the Juneteenth sale. Get your washer and dryer 35% off.
Yes.
You know, or make the plates where it's the Juneteenth for me, foolishness. You know, it really has absolutely, it's not teaching the next generation anything.
It doesn't. It's just,
No.
it's amazing how
They're not teaching us, you know, that the first president of the United States was actually Black, and, you know, and George Washington was actually the 9th president. They're not teaching you stuff like that.
Oh,
They will try to take it and erase our history as much as they possibly can. They did it in Egypt, where they, you know, they have the all the pictures, the hieroglyphics all the time. They tried to shave away the noses so that we would think that, you know, this was all done by non-people of color. And it makes absolutely no sense. If you just think about now they're like, oh, you know, everybody who creates anything, they have to be Chinese. Anybody who does anything even closely related to math has to be Chinese. Well, if you really go back and you look at it, our history specifically tells you how many patents are owned by people of color, how many things were invented by people of color. But those are not things that you hear. You don't hear it in February. You damn sure don't hear it in Juneteenth. You have to seek it out. You have to seek out the knowledge.
you do.
And it's very frustrating.
Extremely. Because it, like you said, it becomes commercialized, and
Yeah.
it becomes commercialized in their favor.
Right.
It's not in ours. It's never in our favor. And it's saddening. Like I said, was just concerned. Why are you having a big Juneteenth celebration? You are white and you live in, you know, in Idaho, you know, and in Idaho, you're, and I mean, and I'm, like I said, not that I was mad, just wanted to know how did you decide to come about that? And it would have been one thing just saying, oh, I'm having friends and family over for the long weekend, and that because they did have a day off on that Monday. Just having a long weekend, and we're going to have the family and friends over for, you know, and didn't have to put a name on it, and I would have been okay with that. But I think it was the name associated with it, a Juneteenth celebration. We're having a big one at our home, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I'm not sure why, but okay.
It's literally one of those things that make you go,
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, sometimes you want to know, and sometimes you just don't want to know that bad. So, Amanda, how are you, darling?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm awake. I'm good. So, yeah, it's been a morning, but anyway.
Did you have some coffee?
No, I haven't. I literally got up, and then I don't know where my husband is. So he stepped out early. So I was checking on the kids, everything else, and I'm like, oh my goodness. It was a long night, but everything's okay. So
okay.
I was gonna ask, how's the
dog? He's okay. He was like twitching and very lethargic, just acting really strange. So I took him I drive him a half hour to the hospital. And then for some reason, well, because yesterday was Canada Day, so I guess everybody's dogs were having issues. So it was like a packed waiting room, and then I ended up sleeping in my car, and then I still didn't get seen, and then he seemed to be fine when I got up. So, and at least I got his vitals done, so I could see that everything was normal. So I was like, I'll just go now. Instead of, I don't know, I probably would have still been waiting if I stayed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So,
sorry. I'm sorry you went through all that. I'm happy that he's okay.
oh yeah, exactly. That's the point. But my goodness, I'm like, I just, yeah, I just feel like I'm just like this whole getting up, like sleeping and then getting up. I just feel very disoriented. So,
Oh,
but
that's
anyway,
I'm sorry. I think Jackson is feeling some sympathy, so he wanted to let you know that. So he decided to bark.
Stop barking.
He wanted to bark his sympathies, his empathy to you.
thank you. Yeah.
He's
So-
all dressed. He's all decked out in yellow today, because
Nice.
he is a bougie mother. Shut your mouth.
Nice. I can't say that like I have a bit of clothing, but it's like it's not really a thing. Like I have to wrestle them into clothes, and it's up like yeah,
Oh.
like you can just be free.
No, this one is a Maltese. So I take him, and especially now that it's warm here, I get him cut down to like one, and
Yeah.
he has to wear sweaters because he sits around the house like shivering without his clothes on.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting, I must say.
Okay.
And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I went to work last night, so I am doing the sniffling thing because I had on the mask, and then the
Oh,
fibers
yeah.
kept getting in my nose. So
Yeah.
I've been sniffling since last night. I pulled it down. I switched out my mask. It's just
Yeah.
a pain. So yeah, it was a
I
long
get
night.
you. Oh, I understand. I don't miss those. I do not miss working overnight at all. So I feel ya.
So it was my
Mhm.
16-hour, but then I'm off, so I'm okay. It's fine.
That's good. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, that's good.
I tell people, I'm like, if it was like my first time doing it, it's a little tough, but after that, you get used to it. I work 3 days a week, and then I'm home 4 days a week. So don't feel
That's
that
good.
I'm okay.
Yeah. No, that scheduling's not bad. Like it just got that used to be something we used to do in nursing here, but they just eliminated it. Now they do 3s and 2s.
Okay.
Or one of the jobs I had was 5s. Yeah, it was 5s and 2s, which was just crazy.
So how do the twos work? Is 2 16s?
So it's you work for 3 12-hour shifts, then you get 2 days off, then you work for 2 12-hour shifts, then you get 3 days off. So you're always rotating, and then you go through days and nights.
Oh no, I do 3 days, 4 days off. I will not see you until the next week. Don't call me.
Oh, that would make sense.
Don't page me. Don't holler at me. Don't email me. You don't know me. Fuck you and your mama. Nope.
No, that completely makes sense, but yeah, our unions are different, as in they're ineffective. At least, well, each province has their own union, but the nursing union for Ontario negotiated that if you work a night shift, you can be back at the hospital or back at your workplace within 24 hours. You have to have a 12.
They do that here, but because of the way that I work in the facilities I work and the contracts that I take, I do have a lot more flexibility. I don't like to be locked in things like that. There's a plus and minus to that because you have healthcare coverage, you have 401ks, things like that these other facilities will invest in for you. However, for me, I have to do it independently. There's nobody matching for me.
Well, that's a common thing
pocket,
too.
so,
yeah, we don't have the power to negotiate, even if you're part-time and you don't get benefits in that way. I mean, you can join a matching program, but you don't actually get benefits like sick days, that sort of thing. And then full-time, it's like, that's like a unicorn to get a full-time job, which is insane. Well, but prior to COVID, I don't really care post that because I got out of it. So not my problem.
Right. Yeah. So, you know,
So
I take
yeah.
the good with the bad, but I really do. I do enjoy the flexibility. And when my kids were, I wasn't a nurse when they were young, but when they got a little bit older and I was in nursing, I had the ability to say, hey, I can't work for this amount of days, or I can't
Yeah.
work this schedule because I have to be there for my kids or whatever. So
Yeah.
I really did appreciate that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what?
So do you work 3 16? So you work 3 16-hour shifts and then you're off for 4
No, I
days?
either do 3 12s or I do I can
3 12.
do 2 16s and an 8. I can do 3 12s or I can do 1 16 and 2 8s. It just depends on
Oh, okay.
what I want to make that week.
Mm,
Literally, what I feel like making. So if I say, oh, you know, I want to buy a computer this week, I'll just pick up one extra shift to buy the computer cash.
Okay.
So
Oh,
then
okay.
that works.
Oh,
that's cool.
yeah. I like that 3 days, 4 days off thing.
Yeah. And you know, when I go to work, I'm happy. Like I'm literally, I can talk to anybody. I can, you know, be friendly, cordial, respectful to anybody. There's nothing you can throw at me because I have so much free time to myself.
Yeah.
So when I work in that manner, I don't feel burnt out. Now,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been in a situation where I was burnt out. I was actually staff. I was working 5 days a week, and I
Yeah.
was looking at people like, you again? Why won't you get out my face? Didn't I see you yesterday? Why are you still here?
Mm-hmm.
So once I saw that I was becoming that person, I had to see I needed to fix it. And this started to work for me. I was like 3 days on. Oh, I don't dislike you in the third day. I can keep this going. So that's what worked for me. And I really feel that peace of mind outweighs all. Once I have the peace of mind, finances are coming in. I'm not worried about that. Once I have the peace of mind, then I can figure out the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much what I did. And this works for me. Now, if my kids were younger, I cannot say that this would work well for me because then I would be a little bit more strained financially because I can afford the insurance by myself for me. How am I now, you know, affording this insurance now for 4 people? You know, so it would be a bit different. The dynamics would definitely be different. But since they're older, they're adults, 2 of them have their own health insurance right now. You know, they drive, they take care of their own bills. There's no reason for me to go through all that. There's no reason at all.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Joya must have. Oh, that's right. She said she was leaving at 9:40.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she's sitting here. She's getting dressed. I'm just listening. Wants to hear as much.
So our little talk today was really lighthearted. I'm really happy for that.
Well, that's good. That's something that we need.
Did you hear any part of it, Amanda?
I heard about Juneteenth.
Okay, so we actually started with Jada Pinkett Smith was saying that she wanted for Chris Rock and for Will Smith to reconcile or to at least come to some mutual understanding.
Yeah.
I think my initial question was, do you think it was for them or was it for her to basically save face?
I don't even know, to be quite honest. I don't even understand why it's such a big deal. Really? Like,
right.
It's crazy to me. It's just ridiculous. I'm like, well, you know, everyone got what they wanted out of it. People were talking about the Oscars for the first time in forever. And there's people in that same industry who are much worse. So I like, you know, much worse, and they're still working. So all this weird outrage about it, I'm like, really?
Yeah, didn't they have a mass shooting somewhere that same week? 12 people got. So yeah.
I feel as
yeah.
I feel as though, and not to sound like an asshole, but I feel as though it's a white America thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and this is why I'm saying that. We have a culture of people of color who deal with a level of violence every day that is publicized, is televised, is somewhat applauded and commended based on some of the things I've seen. So I don't think it was like, oh my God, I can't believe. It was more like a, oh damn, that's fucked up, type of thing for our culture.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that white America is incapable of being violent. They are definitely capable of being violent. But I feel as though they like to highlight and publicize what they feel as though to kind of take off the shine off of certain things.
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just feel, I get that there's, so many things are messed up, but. Oh, sorry. Oh no, I just get that there's so many things that are messed up, but I just feel like to choose this hill to die on is just weird.
Oh, it's Joanne's mic.
Okay.
I wonder,
it's echoing to Joanne.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I thought, oh well.
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, and I just went on.
But then or maybe it's not even that. Maybe it's just that I just feel as though, or it could be more of, I feel as though that's more of a media thing. They highlight something and they run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe a lot of the things that they decide to run with are so unnecessary, so unworthy of speaking about past day 2.
Yeah.
But, it makes for something interesting, or what they deem interesting, where I feel as though there are so many other things that are going on that are much more interesting.
Well, yeah. I just feel like it's just, it's just, I mean, all the stuff we even know about that industry is just terrible. I can't even, it's gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, well, if it's a male rock star and they're like, oh, this interesting fact about this person, I'm like, how old was the girl and what did he do with this girl, with this child? That's just an acceptable, like, that's just a thing. Like, that's just facts. And, people are like, oh, this slap and oh, this da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I'm just ready for any scandal. I'm like, if it was Mr. Rogers, I wouldn't be shocked at this point, Like, I just feel like that big outrage. I'm like, what time are you living in? Like if they had like some expose on him, I wouldn't be shocked.
I change my shoes as soon as I get in my house because of him.
Well, you should be doing that, but at this point, I wouldn't even be shocked. I'm not saying I'm suspicious. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked. And I just find it funny. People are like, like, oh my, and oh this, and you're like, oh come on, please.
Get over it. Right.
Exactly. Like, what do you think this is? Like the knitting circle? People going to bed at 8 o'clock with a glass of milk? Like, come on now, stop.
We are humans and we are capable of anything. Anything.
Well, exactly. It's I was watching a documentary on Jim Carrey making the movie Man on the Moon. And it was one of those things that was so hyped up because they're like, oh, you get to see behind his creative process and this and that. And the thing is, it was really disturbing on the level of how much he got away with just because he was rich and famous, and people are normalized this. And one of the things he said, it's like, well, how well do you really even know somebody? How well do you know yourself? It's, if you look at anything they do through normal eyes, it's very abnormal. Like he was going around and saying, oh, well, a lot of actors are method actors. So he was pretending to be this person, or at least the way he thought this person was 24 hours a day. So he was harassing someone on set, and like, because this person had a rivalry with this other person, with this wrestler, this comedian was quite odd. Like he was very, he was like a shock comedian before that was really a thing. So he really blurred the lines between fiction and reality. So, you know, Jim Carrey was playing Andy Kaufman, and Andy Kaufman had this whole thing with this wrestler. So Jim Carrey took it to his level and thought, okay, well, he really must have disliked this person in real life. So he was harassing this man, threw drinks at him, nearly hit his girlfriend, the wrestler's girlfriend, with drinks. You know, the wrestler in the interview was like, no, we never had that relationship, Andy and I. You know, Jim Carrey was counseling Andy Kaufman's long lost daughter and providing closure. Like, it was just like the level of craziness in that industry that people accept and his public knowledge is so vast and so wide. So I don't really get how people were shocked. You know, I'm like, this is the hill that you choose to die on, not anything else. Good. Makes perfect sense, you know?
I think that's why a lot of actors don't want their children going into it. You notice a lot of them want shy away from it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, that's not, maybe do something else.
You know, and it's like some people have decided that because they're actors, that it's okay for them to act crazy.
Right.
It's okay for them to do something that is, it's okay for them to be rude or to say ugly, you know, something ugly, or to do stuff. It's okay because they're actors. Because I can't say that it's all just because of just the money, because they do treat others with money a little different. You know, they still have these kind of standards, but because they're an actor or a performer, it's okay.
Right.
Some things that they do is okay. And so why is there a double standard for them? It should still be, you know, treated just and expected to treat others just the same. Now, I will say in the thing with Jim Carrey, he's not one of my favorites. So I would have, first of all, I didn't see the movie. I wouldn't have watched the documentary. But it's just that it was something about him, because when he was doing his comedy, when he was doing just comedy and he stayed in that comedy realm, I thought he was okay. And even when he was on, was it Living Color, and he was doing comedy, I was okay with it. It's when he started doing his serious acting and stuff, and he started getting into that. It was like, it was something about him that changed. And I just kind of stopped watching him. So I don't know. So it's like they start believing their own hype, I guess, for lack of a better way to explain it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm rich, so I get to do this and get away with it.
Yeah, I think that's just an across the board attitude with anyone over a certain amount of money. And the thing is, you know, with the media, with society, we do excuse a lot of terrible behavior. Like, you know, people will say, oh, Elon Musk and, you know, Steve Jobs and this and that, and you'll see their biographies and all of that. And then when you see interviews with their children, you know, Elon Musk's daughter is disowning him, like wants nothing to do with him, which I feel like, wow, that's you know, you gotta do something messed up. You know, Steve Jobs' daughter said that he was cruel and neglectful and mean and just a horrible human being, but nobody talks about that because, like, well, after a few million, whatever flaws you have are gone. You know, like you could do whatever you want. You know, and that's the thing. It's public knowledge, but they cherry pick.
Honestly, that's from us as, you know, the regular person looking at this person, looking in. But a lot of them are so miserable. If you really think about it, their personal lives are garbage. That's why so many of them have attempted suicide. It's not just mental health issues. It's like themselves, who they are.
Yep. I personally, I'm just like, you know what? You can be miserable. You could be miserable and broke and be miserable and rich. I'm like, I'd rather be miserable and rich. You can be sick and broke and sick and rich. I'd rather be sick and rich. So it's, you know, I think it is like, I think a world would be a better place if we extended a quarter of the understanding we have for people that we don't know to people that we actually do. You know, our neighbors, our family, our friends. You know, people will bend over backwards to justify it just because You know, oh, that person knows how to play guitar and they can wear a cool outfit, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not saying necessarily that you should never listen to a song by anybody. You should never feel a certain way. You can't regulate how you feel about something, but you sure as heck don't have to, you know, go and defend people and be like, oh, anything they do, I pay attention to. Like, you could treat your neighbors and your family and people you know, or even strangers, nicer. You know, if you can extend that understanding to people you've never met with all these advantages, you can extend it to people that you haven't met that don't have the advantages. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
I totally agree with that. Treat your neighbor as you would yourself, basically.
Exactly. Like,
Right.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm like, it's like the older I get, the more certain things just like, they just kind of poke at me where I'm like, huh, you know, it's like you'll hear about people, like, it just seems whatever people in Hollywood or whatnot are doing, it's perfectly acceptable. But if you think about it, it's like, oh, if that was my neighbor, they would have been ostracized, you know?
Right. Right. That's true.
So,
Yeah.
True.
yeah. So, but that's just my take on it. I'm like, you know what? Whatever. You guys can work it out. You know,
Right.
like how many people who worked in fast food for $7.50 have been assaulted and no one cares,
Right.
you know, or for minimum wage and no
those
one
are the
cares.
things that we should really be talking about. Those are the things that we should say, it is not okay. We are not going to normalize this. We are going to highlight this, and we're going to say that this is unacceptable behavior.
Exactly. I mean, like, wow, you know, like I'm staying in a part of Ontario that's very close to the States. So the radio when I'm in the car is just playing news from the States. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in Canada because crazy stuff happens here. Like, I'm not even going to say like, oh, we're better than, like, we've had people, a lady in a subway station was set on fire. Like, I'm not even going to say we're better, but you know, like when you're hearing news stories about people shooting people, fast food workers because their order wasn't right, you know, like where's the sympathy for that person? They were just doing their job. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
That should be a national headline. Like, what's wrong? Like, what is going on? You know, like, of course, nobody's saying it's acceptable, but all the attention and all the, you know, like this person had a family and now they have, you know, this loss, trauma, major expenses from it, you know, and it's just kind of a quirky news story. Like, wow, can you believe somebody did that? You know?
Oh, we lost D.
Nobody died from a slap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Oh, we lost D. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, we could give it a minute, and then I guess we can wrap it up.
Yeah,
I don't know if we leave it. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we could edit this out. How are you doing, Ursula? How's your how are your parents? How is your friend doing?
Friend is doing great. She has started dialysis, and her life is just a huge difference. And I guess I didn't realize how much of an impact for someone that's sick like that just going through this, having to start dialysis, and they're having, you know, what they say, the toxic blood and getting that out of her system. But she went from being lethargic, from getting up, and I mean, after sleeping all night, waking up, she'd eat something, take medicine, and 5 minutes later she was knocked out, and she would sleep another for hours. She couldn't stay up. She was hurting. You know, there's just all this stuff going. Now it's a matter of, will you shut up and stop, and would you go to sleep, take a nap? You know.
Oh, that's a good change. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah. That's the beautiful thing about dialysis, getting all of that toxins out of you. And then like, that's why they do like the weights before and the weights after, because basically they're taking off all this excess fluid that your body is not getting rid of. Because it's like, if you think about it, like if you're constipated, or if you haven't gone to the bathroom, whether it's fecal matter or you're urinating, it does manifest in different ways. And that's basically and they're getting all of that dead weight off of you.
Oh, that's how.
So,
Yeah.
filtering out your kidneys.
Well,
So it's a great thing.
Mhm.
Sorry,
well,
Amanda.
even bringing that up, like, oh no, it's okay. You just made me think of something. Like, even, if the news would devote a little bit of time just to like providing useful information about health or something. Like, I just
Yeah.
feel like, there's so many ways that people could be helped, and this obsession with, but then again, I guess because, as I said, I'm getting older, the obsession with celebrities and whatnot, I'm like, no, we should be helping people,
The
like all
things
that
that
stuff
don't
with Chris
matter is what they
Rock,
talk about. Yeah.
and Will Smith, if they were talking about domestic violence, like, oh, men can be victims too, or something useful, but it was like, oh man, and this and that. I'm like, they're all worth money. I'm like, no one died from a slap, and I'd rather be slapped and rich than slapped and poor,
Like a
if I had the choice.
I'd rather do this and be rich than do this and be poor. But
Exactly.
no,
Bad stuff happens to both people, So I just feel like the time could have been used, and I'm like, I don't even understand why they're bringing this up again.
yeah.
So
It's like,
I feel like that whole scenario should have been the 30 seconds, and then nobody ever hears about it again, and then we talk about vital information, things that are
exactly.
help our communities as people.
yeah. So, and the media keeps things going, but I understand that from the business side, that's because it sells. Drama sells. Uh, they like the drama, the sex, the fights. Those things sell, so they keep it up. But they wouldn't
Mhm.
do that in society if people didn't gravitate towards it so much. And that's
Mhm.
it's like I remember this was years ago, and I'm actually living in Houston, and I'd driven up to my parents' home to see them, and they're in Dallas. And when I walked in and got into the house and came on through, and when they were in their bedroom watching TV, and even at that time, my parents had already retired. I walk into their room, and they're laying in bed watching. I don't know if you remember Jerry Springer.
Yes.
Yes,
And,
he's still
and
on.
I was completely shocked because I was like, "What in the world? Are y'all seriously watching this mess?" And they're like, "Yeah." And this was their thing. They were laughing. They were like, "It's funny. It's like a comedy show." And I'm like, because whatever they were discussing, there was always somebody breaking out into a fight and all these other stuff, and it was just like somebody's yelling and screaming at somebody because it was all this thing. And they said it was like a comedy show to them that was on late at night,
Yeah.
and I was just shocked. But I don't like reality TV because we have enough. To me, we have enough reality going on, and this is just me. I don't knock people to watch it, but people will ask me all the time, "Well, did you watch that show? It's the Big Brother, what's the one that's the hip hop famous or hip hop and whatever it is, or even it's
Mhm.
the cheerleading ones or all." And I'm like, no, I don't, I can't.
But that's the point of it, to take
Yeah,
you away from real issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
Reality was specifically put in place because, like, my boyfriend and I went on this street. It's a residential street, and it needs those little bumps in the road to kind of slow your car down because they literally go through it like a raceway, right?
yeah,
And I feel like something like that should honestly be a segment on television. It should be something that we talk about to say, okay, well, this is something that needs to be taken care of because there are children on this residential street.
yeah,
These are things
Mhm.
that affect our community. So if I live on that street and it gets on the news, it's going to help your street with your kids. It's going to help your street with your kids, because
Yeah.
we have an example now. We have something to say. We can go back to this. This is the first case. So now we can go back to it. And, but the reality TV was put in place so that we don't have these type of discussions, these actual real discussions about reality.
and it's that
Oh,
we
exactly.
hear about people talking and they can discuss what happened with, and then of course I'm just making this up, what happened with Sally over on the Cheerleading Squad of America show and how they got into a fight. versus discussing the fact that their children at school are not, how kids are struggling with the math at school and how you can tutor them or get them help and stuff like that. It's like,
Right.
it's, and that's not what I want to,
Yeah.
that's not the reality I want. That's not what I want for my distraction. It's not, when I watch, it's like when I hear critics talk about movies, when I watch a movie or go see something, it's because I want to take that time out of my life to do something different. I don't want to go in and start trying to critique the movie. That's not my job. And I really could care less about what people think.
Right.
Because that's the time. I want those 2 hours to be the 2 hours that I get away from life or get away from all of the other stress and things. Because life in general is a lot to deal with. There is a lot going on. Even if everything is going perfect in your life, you still have to eat. You still got to clothe. If you got children, you still got to get them clothed and eat. You still got to have a place to sleep. You still have, most likely, unless you are rich, like Amanda wants us all to be, unless we are rich, you still got to work to get the money. I mean, there's enough stress just in life itself. I just don't want to add. And people, and the sad part about it is some people take that stuff so seriously and they make it so much a part of their life and their day. And it needs to be addressed. Mental health in this country is, and addressing it is horrible. It's like it becomes this no, and to just, even if you get to talk about that, and it's just so much other things that need to be talked about and dealt with. It's, I don't know.
It's so funny that you say that, because if I'm taking it like customer service. So nowadays everything is customer service, customer service, customer service. When I was little, you never really heard about customer service, but it was there. It was evident that it was there and it was for you. Now we talk about mental health. Oh, don't disregard your neighbor. You never know what they're going through. But that's what we do the most. We disregard each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's frustrating.
Exactly. Yeah, I just find it's funny that we expect less from people with more resources than we do with people with less resources.
Right.
That's the thing that gets me the most. And it's like people, just the constant, it's like, just look at any behavior, whether it's dangerous or whether it's very benign, it makes a huge difference, your money or it makes a difference how much money you make, whether you're crazy or eccentric, And there's a lot of eccentric people who are broke, but they get called crazy, It's just funny to me. I'm like, I just think a lot of people would be a lot happier if they stayed in their lane and just let people do the same, provided that they're not, harming anyone, or
Right.
or even like in your face, like where it's just kind of like, great, I don't care,
Right. Yeah.
If you just like let people just do what they need to do, I think that would improve mental health tremendously,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, and I'm not saying entertainment does not have a place. Like, I feel like social media, talk about, the entertainment industry as much as you want. If you have a news show and you have a segment for entertainment, leave it in entertainment. Same thing with the
Right.
newspaper. If you have the entertainment section, leave it in entertainment. I'm old to remember where things were separate, and now it's just because it's so accessible and it's so cheap and nobody has to do any work. It's like now everything's entertainment. I'm like, that's like, we don't want everything being news. We need to, as Ursula said, you want to escape, obviously, but it can't be all entertainment too. Like, where's the balance?
I miss the days when television had class, honestly.
Oh my God. I wish when people had shame.
And there was a
I mean,
turn off
like,
time for the
seriously,
television. It didn't work. Like, there was nothing on after a certain time. That was just it. You turn it off, you take your behind to sleep. That was it.
Exactly. I miss when people had shame too. Like, now people are like, I was watching, I was on TikTok and I was like, doing my thing, recording whatever, scrolling through the scenes, through the feed, and somebody was talking about how she was so outraged because the gym kicked her out because people were complaining about how much she smelled and whatever. And I'm like, you would have to threaten me with death to go online and tell people that. Like, what happened to shave? Like, really?
That's disgusting.
Like, I saw another one where the girl's like, oh, I didn't know that I had to wash my waist down. And this girl looked like she was at least 25 years old. Like, she just found that out. And I'm like, you would have had to blackmail me for that. I would have never said anything.
Oh no, did you see the one where they were like, they use the soap, they just take the soap, put it in their hands, and they just wash, and you were like, I was looking at it like, what? And then so that was the guy, and the girl was like, no, you take the soap and then you wash down there too. And I was like, well, what happened to the wash rag? So
wait a minute, they just use the soap on their hands?
They just take the soap and just rub it in their hands and just wash like that.
Oh, they don't use a towel or a scrub or brush?
No, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I mean, people do. It's just gotten to be too much of what we will put on air and what we just think is okay to air.
I'm kind of glad I know that, though.
Yeah,
I'm glad I know that.
Yeah, but did you know that they're doing it wrong?
I'm glad I know that.
But
and it was out of Australia.
But we always do it.
You know, I never wanted to visit Australia there anyway. So, but I'm okay.
Well, let's hope all Australians do not do that. Let's
I hope they use a wash rag, maybe some baking soda, a little Dettol, some Clorox when they need it, and maybe a Brillo.
Yeah. So, did she say a Brillo? Man, that is. Isn't that Brillo the one that you scrub your pots and pans with?
Some people need to wash 2005 parts, not just 2000. Get the Brillo out, bitches.
Yes,
I guess that's true.
I just can't. That's the thing. I'm like, that's my old person thought for today. Or like, let's bring back some shame. Not all of it, just some of it.
Yeah, it's like the woman that Gorilla
just
Glue
a bit.
You know, some things I know.
It won't move. It won't move.
It won't. It's been like this for 2 months, and I'm like, you put Gorilla Glue in your hair, and then I know how people were making all of the. And I read some of the comments. She thought it was Gorilla Snot. That was it. And I kept thinking, first of all, why would you want to put something called Gorilla Snot in your head?
I think it was such a big scam because if you think about it, okay, so you put it in your hair. Gorilla Glue, okay, so if you're putting Gorilla Snot in your hair, right, you're most likely using your hands as well.
Yeah.
Your hands did not adhere. Did anybody not notice that her hands never adhered to themselves? It was only her hair, and it was the neatest hair I have ever seen.
She was using the spray. She was using the spray on. Now, and I have some of the spray, the Gorilla spray, and it comes out white. But you're right, Dee. I never thought about that. So how did you do that? Because the Gorilla spray that I have that we use in the garage, because I was putting shelf things, tracks up in the garage, and we used it came out in like this little white like stuff, and then you could spread it on.
Right.
So and that would have meant that her comb or something got, but still. My thing
is deathly. So after you spray it in your hair, you would know by the scent, and then you would know that things are really starting to stick here. Like, because it's, it's an aerosol. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you never said anything in your house got destroyed. You never said that your hands stuck together, because you put a spray in your hair. A lot of people, they go in with the brush. The brush never got stuck. So obviously you were using your fingers. Your fingers never got stuck. So it was the biggest scam. She wanted to get rich, and she did. I hope she invested wisely.
So she's either extremely smart, but I was fearful when I found out she was an elementary school teacher. That's what scared me the most.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, she was an elementary school teacher, and I kept thinking, if she was teaching my child, I would take my kid out of whatever school she was teaching at. Yeah, She said she was in elementary school. I said, somebody needs to find out what school she's at, and they need to fire her to get rid of
A
her.
real teacher or like a substitute or like a
No,
one
she
of
was
those
she was,
para teachers, paraprofessionals. She ain't a teacher yet, really.
no, she stayed at the, I want to say that they even had stayed at the school she was working at and had been working there for a while. It wasn't like,
Can you imagine her with the word there? THEIR, THERE, THEY apostrophe RE. Can you imagine her texting any of those to you?
no, because I was listening to how she was speaking when she was talking, and I kept thinking, they're lying. She's not a teacher. She can't be.
She couldn't possibly be.
I said, somebody's lying because this woman is first the broken English she was speaking.
My
It wasn't
hair is
even her
no
bonnet.
move.
It was.
It don't.
It wasn't even the bonnet. And then the fact that you didn't read the instruction and it says, damn.
As a teacher, something wasn't right with that whole story.
Yeah. But that's half the stuff on the internet. It's just kind of like we've got this point where it's just like, okay, if it's not, it used to be cute cat videos and now it's just shock and outrage.
Right.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's so like sometimes it's very subtle, sometimes it's very obvious. And I'm like, just go back to like just having news, entertainment. There you go. Separate the two.
Keep it simple. Let's go back to keeping it simple.
Exactly. And like just like if I miss kind of people getting attention, like not all the time. People got attention for bad reasons in the past as well. But I'm like, I kind of miss people having a skill.
Right.
I don't even think that most people are trying to do these things to be malicious. It's just literally they don't have a skill that they can do.
Right.
For attention,
Yeah.
But yes, it's 11 minutes after the hour. So do you want to wrap it up?
Yes. I'm gonna go try and get at least 45 minutes of sleep so that I can go.
Yes, please.
Do Saturday.
Yes.
So I'm gonna end this now.
Yeah. Both of you get some rest. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks. You too.
I will